When I was a child, I used to ask my parents why they named me Joy. No one I knew had this name, and frankly, I didn't much like that. My mom told me that Joy expressed the feeling that they had when I was born. It made sense, but I would have preferred Susan or Debbie. Sorry, Mom, no offense. Notwithstanding their choice of name, happiness was never part of my parents' game plan for me. Service, purpose, meaning, those were the values they articulated and expected from their children. I'm quite sure that the sentence, "I just want you to be happy," was never uttered by either of my parents. Would it surprise you to know that Jewish tradition has a happiness festival? It starts tonight, otherwise known as Sukkot. In Hebrew, it's called Zman Simchatenu, our happy time, perhaps to reflect Sukkot's origins, marking the joyful end of the harvest. Perhaps it is because we are so happy that the high holidays are over. Following weeks of introspection and tshuva, we see that change is indeed possible. This fundamentally optimistic notion is hardwired in our tradition and is in itself a source of joy. But we're not merely encouraged to be happy. It is a mitzvah. It is a commandment. Like the poet Mary Oliver wrote, "If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give into it. Don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not meant to be a crumb." And yet, it is so hard to find. Literally thousands of books have tried to help us be happy. Happiness classes are by far the most popular offerings at elite colleges, suggesting that getting into these schools may not actually make our children happier people. Most agree that having enough food and shelter, money and friends, as well as a sense of purpose, are key elements in the pursuit of happiness. And yet, despite having all of that, happiness can still feel elusive. Being happy is not the only mitzvah in Sukkot, and when we unpack these other commandments and customs, we see a roadmap leading us toward a Jewish understanding about happiness and a sense of what the rabbis mean when they require us to be happy. It may surprise you. The first mitzvah could not be easier to perform. While 51 weeks of the year, our Jewish mantra could be, "Don't just sit there, do something," on Sukkot it is the reverse. Don't just do something, sit there. We are required to sit in the sukkah, leishev basukkah, which is a form of meditation that helps settle our minds. We say a simple blessing that praises God for enabling us to sit in the sukkah. This is a gratitude practice. While gratitude comes easily to us at big moments such as that amazing child, wow, to watch that face was just, I felt overwhelmingly grateful. We're not just supposed to wait for those feelings to wash over us at peak moments. We're supposed to sit down, slow down, and practice the art of feeling grateful for the simple fact that we are alive. The gratitude that comes from this awareness brings us joy. And as you've heard, we sit in a structure made from the natural world with a roof that allows sunlight and starlight to enter our consciousness. This week, we separate ourselves from our things, and we pay attention to what is essential, reminding us that happiness comes not from what we have, but from how we live. We move from everything that offers us security, our homes with their roofs and walls and furniture and kitchens, and we sit in an unstable dwelling. Note that the tradition does not ask us to abandon our attachment to things. 51 weeks a year, we love our things. A week from now, we will happily return, physically for some and spiritually for all of us, to our homes and to our things. But during this week, we are asked to find security elsewhere, to connect more deeply to the natural world, to look up at the stars, to sense the change in temperature, and to experience the awe in God's creation. This awareness of God's creation leads us to joy. We are commanded to experience the fragility of the Sukkah so that we might approximate the vulnerability that much of the world experiences all the time. We're not supposed to sit in the Sukkah if it is pouring rain, so if you had plans for tonight, scratch them. But as we run into our homes to shield ourselves from the elements, we are mindful that too many people in this world have no homes in which to find shelter. For a week, we cultivate a heightened sense of awareness that climate change disproportionately affects those who already have less security. With that awareness, we are meant to be propelled into action, and in the very act of helping others, we find happiness. In Judaism, happiness is not a goal, but it is the outcome of living a meaningful life. We sing a song during Sukkot whose words are taken from the book of Deuteronomy, but strangely edited. V'samachta b'chagecha v'hayita sameach. You shall rejoice in your festival, and you shall have nothing but joy. It takes the beginning of the verse and the end of the next, and it omits the essence of the verse. You shall rejoice in your festival with your son and your daughter, your male and female slave, the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow in your communities. And then you shall have nothing but joy. The commentator Maimonides railed against the idea that the purpose of Sukkot was merely to celebrate with your family without attention paid to those who have so much less than we do. He understood that it is not instinctive to share what we have. That's why it's a mitzvah. And that's why Central Synagogue partners with the community fridge, which provides food for those in need every day of the year. Central makes and delivers between 300 and 500 sandwiches each week, and tonight you'll have a chance to help. We have disposable takeout containers available as you leave the sanctuary that have stickers describing how to donate to the community fridge. Please be sure to take a container. You will be happy that you did. The second mitzvah on Sukkot is, as you saw, to shake the lulav and the etrog. And the rabbis actually understood this metaphorically, that each of the elements represented different kinds of Jews, those who are good and not, those who are learned and not. We gather the species together to express the value of connection even to those who are not like us. Contrary to the idea that we are happiest when we are with people most like ourselves, the tradition is radical here, asking us to shake it up, to get out of our comfort zone in order to experience the beauty and the complexity of those who are different than we are, even those we may not like or even respect, but who are, like all of us, created in the image of God. Laurie Santos, whose course in happiness is the most popular class ever offered at Yale, says that while we have strong intuitions about what will make us happy, those intuitions are often deeply misguided. We, in fact, don't always know what makes us happy, which is why the tradition's move here is so important. Joy arrives in our hearts when we invite the tradition and not only our instincts to guide us. There is one final custom associated with the festival of Sukkot. The Kabbalists of the 16th century would symbolically invite Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Aaron, and David into the Sukkah each night. And this practice has widened in our time to include Sarah, Miriam, Deborah, Hannah, Abigail, Huldah, and Esther, as well as more contemporary heroes and even members of our family. It is interesting that what binds the traditional guests is that they were all immigrants, uprooted from their land. There are those whose ancestors are indigenous to this land, but most of us descend from immigrants, even those whose ancestors came here in shackles. When we remember that, when we get proximate to the feeling of uprootedness and choose to help people find a better future, that choice leads us to joy. As you heard from Rabbi Haber on Kol Nidre, this week the children in our nursery school will celebrate Sukkot with 2 new students who are refugees from war-torn countries seeking asylum in our country and who are now part of our preschool. I have no doubt that these children and our children will find joy with one another and their new friends. Happiness is the outcome of living our values out loud. I was blessed last month with the birth of our 4th grandchild. Like I am sure the Brand Barron family feels tonight as their daughter and granddaughter was welcomed into the Jewish community, I do just want my granddaughter to be happy. When we welcome her into the world with the prophet Elijah in symbolic attendance, hoping and praying that she will help heal our broken world, I know that it is in the pursuit of that vision that she will find joy, also in her grandmother's love. The writer Mary Pfeiffer noted that happiness is a skill and it is a choice. On this Erev Sukkot, Zman Simchatenu, may we hone the skill of joy by quieting our minds, bringing together the disparate parts of our community, and sharing abundance with those who need it most. May this be the moment when we choose joy. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach.